And Imam Hussein refuses to give the bay'ah, refuses to give the allegiance. And he refuses, his refusal is of that type of refusal that when he's threatened with death, his reaction is like, look, if you're going to kill me, then you'll kill me, but I'm not going to give my bay'ah to Yazid. And we see that this was the tactic of Imam Hussein. His standing firm, his refusal to submit to Yazid, in addition to the movement of Hazrat Zainab salam alayha and the companions of Zainab, the caravan of captives, that this was the revolution of Hussein. His refusal to give the bay'ah, even if it meant his death, and the tabligh of his resistance by Zainab. Now this is what's so important here. Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam refuses to give legitimacy to Yazid, because after all, Yazid demanding bay'ah, it's a move towards legitimacy. Yazid wants to be viewed as a legitimate government. Imam Hussein refuses to give the bay'ah, even if it means that he should be killed. And he refuses. So why is it that when the life of Imam Rida is threatened, and they tell him, you're going to be the Khalifa, he says no. They say, well then you're going to be Wali Ahad. He says no. And then they say, well then we'll kill you. And then he says yes. Do you see the difference here? That Hussein is ready to die and not give legitimacy. But Imam Rida, when he's threatened with death, he says, okay, I'll take it. And sometimes we accept this level of argumentation without any thought. We say, well, you know, Imam Rida's life was threatened, so he had to accept Wali Ahad. This evening I want to discuss this issue from a point of view of a wider perspective. And to understand this, you have to understand the time period in which Imam Rida was living. During the time of Imam Rida, alayhi salatu wasalam, the Banu Abbas were being destroyed by civil war between Ma'mun and Amin, his brother. There was a civil war going on as to see who would take control of the entire empire. During this civil war, followers of Ahlul Bayt, and when we say this, I'm not saying Ithna Ashari Shias, I'm saying at large, in a wider perspective, people who followed Ahlul Bayt. This can include Zaydis, this can include Ismailis, this can include any number of other Shia factions that were existing at that time. In a wider context, the followers of Ahlul Bayt were very active politically and militarily. You see that, for instance, during the Imamat of Imam Rida, several revolts were led by Zaydis, were successful in taking territory from Banu Abbas. And in fact, 3 of Imam Rida's brothers were appointed as governors in this Zaydi state that was established. 3 of the brothers of Imam Rida, alayhi salatu wasalam. So we see that members of Bani Hashim, they're involved also in the revolts that are happening at the time. They're involved in the political activity that's happening at the time. On the other end, and I believe we had mentioned this to you some time ago also, you see that Imam Rida, you see numerous times in his lifetime, some of his companions contact him. They say that we are working in the court of Harun, or we're working in the court of Ma'mun. For instance, one of the followers of Imam Rida writes, he says, I'm a teacher to the children of these people, and I teach them their wudu according to the fiqh, to the ahkam of Ahl Sunnah. What is the ruling in this, O Imam? This is a Shia writing to Imam Rida saying that I teach the children of these people in their palace, and when I teach them the ahkam, I teach them how to do the wudu according to the style of the Ahl Sunnah. What is the ruling on this? He asks his Imam. Imam Rida says to him, teach them both ways. On another occasion, another one of the companions of Imam Rida says that I'm working as an advisor, as a wazir to Ma'mun. And he doesn't know that I'm one of your followers. Sometimes they pressure me to come and pray with them. And when I pray with them, I pray according to their style of prayer. What is the ruling in this? Imam Rida tells him, you have to do this in order to maintain your position so that some righteous person can be advising these people. Why do we mention this? Because on one side we just mentioned that many members of Ahlul Bayt, including members of Imam Rida's immediate family, are involved in many of the revolts of the time. On the other end we see that Imam Rida himself also has followers that are involved in the government and that are advising and are influential in the government, yet they want to maintain their position as being a Shia and a follower of Imam Rida. So this shows you that at this time Imam Rida was very deeply involved in all of the things happening around him. In fact, during one of these revolts, Ma'mun comes to him and says, contact your kinsmen, contact your family members, and tell them to stop supporting these revolts and these rebellions. And Imam Rida refuses to do that. He says, no, I won't get in touch with them and tell them to make peace. I won't be a tool of the government in this respect. We bring all this up to show you that at the time of the Khilafat of Ma'mun, at the time of the Imamat of Imam Rida, the society was being drained by this civil war. Ma'mun was only offering the Khilafat or the Wali Ahad to Imam Rida as a way to gain the support of the supporters of Imam Rida, of those people who looked up to Imam Rida. He had a double plan actually. Ma'mun wanted to, number one, gain the support of the Shias, of the supporters of Imam Rida, and number two, he wanted to make Imam Rida look bad. How will he make him look bad? The government at this time is so hated by the people that if the Imam should come to work for the government, then the people will say, look, he's a zalim now. He's working with the zalimeen. He's working with the oppressors. He's taking position in their government. He has become bad also. And this was the plan of Ma'mun. This was the whole idea behind offering this position to Imam Rida. But Imam Rida's reaction to this is what's so important and really what we want to discuss this evening. Please send a salawat. The position of Imam Rida and the reaction of Imam Rida is an inspiration to us in the West. Why? Because right now amongst the Shias in the West, predominantly, by and large, the view of most of the ulama is that we as Shias should not get involved in political life in this country. You see that, for instance, you go to a lot of the ulama, you say, for instance, brother, we have a brother in the community that wants to become a policeman. What do they say? They say, this is haram. You say, well, why is it haram? It's haram to go to work for a zalim government. You go and you say, okay, brother, one of the brothers in the community is a lawyer and wants to run for the town council. They'll say, this is haram. Why is it haram? Because it's haram to work for a zalim government. We see, not just in Quran, but in the history of Islam, that many righteous people have held positions in governments that were unjust. Not because they were looking for a paycheck, not because they wanted to do zulm and oppression, but because some righteous person has to be in there to advise them. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has to establish some hujjat, some proof on these people. We can take an inspiration as people who are living in the West from the life of Imam Rida, from the movement of Imam Rida alayhi salatu wasalam. Because we see that even though Harun